Secrets of Origami Yoda by Tom Engelberger. Chapter 1 Origami Yoda and Dwight by Tommy. The big question is Origami Yoda real? Well, of course he's real. I mean, he's a real finger puppet made out of a real piece of paper. But, I mean, is he real? Does he really know things? Can he see the future? Does he use the Force? Or is he just a hoax that fooled a whole bunch of us at McGuire Middle School? It's really important for me to figure that out if he's real, because I've got to decide whether to take his advice or not, and if I make the wrong choice, I'm doomed. I don't want to get into that yet, so for now, let's just say it's about this really cool girl, Sarah, and whether or not I should risk making a fool of myself for her. Origami Yoda says to do it, but if he's wrong, total humiliation. So I've got to know if he's real. I need solid answers. I need scientific evidence. That's why I went around and asked everyone who got help from Origami Yoda to tell their stories. Then I put all the stories together in this case file. Who knows, maybe this case file could even be used if scientists ever decide to study Origami Yoda. To try to make it really scientific, I let my friend Harvey comment on each story. Harvey has never ever believed in Origami Yoda even for a second, and he still doesn't. In fact, he says he is 100% sure that Origami Yoda is just a green paper wad, so he tries to find the logical explanation for all really weird things that happen. Then I commented on each story too, because after all, I'm the one who's trying to figure this whole thing out. My friend Kellen wanted to help too, so I let him borrow the case file. Instead of adding anything useful, he just doodled all over it. It made me mad at first, but actually some of the doodles almost looked like people from school, so I didn't bother trying to erase them. And anyway, I don't have time for that. I've got to study this thing and making a decision. Is Origami Yoda real, or isn't he? Oh yeah, one other thing I almost forgot about Dwight. Dwight is the guy who carries Origami Yoda on his finger. The strangest thing about Origami Yoda is that he is so wise, even though Dwight is a total loser. I'm not saying that as an insult, it's just a fact. Dwight never seems to do anything right. Always in trouble, always getting harassed by other kids, always picking his nose, always finding a way to ruin it for everyone, as the teachers say. If he would just listen to Origami Yoda's wisdom, like the rest of us, he would have it made. But no, he ends up barfing in class because he ate 13 servings of canned peaches at lunch, or stealing a girl's shoe, or wearing shorts with his socks pulled up above his knees. Even if he manages to turn his good points into loser points, see, he is the total origami master of our school. First he made cranes and frogs and all that. Then he started inventing his own stuff. Origami Yoda it's just a perfect paper version of Yoda. He's also Dwight's own design. Dwight's not the first person in the world to make an Origami Yoda, of course. There are a bunch of them on the internet, but Dwight didn't download instructions. He actually created his own Origami Yoda. But it's one thing to make a paper Yoda, and it's another to ask people talk to it. And that's what makes him a loser. You can't go around school with a paper Yoda on your finger talking to people. I bet even Origami Yoda would listen to tell him that if he would just listen. Anyway, here's the first story, which happens to be about a girl, not the girl, and shows how good it can be to listen to Origami Yoda has to say. Origami Yoda and the Night of Fun by Tommy. It was the night of the April PTA Fun Night, the monthly dance in the school cafeteria. Everybody comes to the PTA Fun Night. I don't know why, and I don't even know why I go. I hate them, and so does a bunch of us who don't dance or first or do any public displays of affection. The cafeteria has a strange stage at one end for assemblies, and if you don't want to dance, you can sort of sit on the edge of the stage. Some people dance, some people walk around. We sit on the edge of the stage. There's usually me and my best friends, Kellen and Harvey. Harvey is the tall one with the smirk on his face. Kellen is the thin one who is trying to look cool by nodding his head to the music. I'm the short one with hair that's a pain in the butt to try to keep combed. And then there's Lance, Mike, and Quavando. They're on the stage because most people won't talk to them. Why not? Because Lance is weird and Mike cries all the time, and Quavando is the famous Cheetah Hawk. They're all social outcasts, and I don't know why they come to Fun Night, because they have even less of a chance of dancing with the girls than I do. There are a few girls who sit there too, like Cassie and Caroline. I don't know why they sit on the stage, just shy or something. I guess I don't think they even talk to each other. And there's Dwight, of course. I know he already looked like nerd sitting on the stage like that, but Dwight somehow makes us look worse. At last month's Fun Night, he suddenly decided he could dance, and then he started doing this weird jumping around thing. Wait, it gets worse. He bumped into this popular girl, Jennifer, who was carrying a drink from the snack table and made her spill it. And it gets worse. Dwight goes, I'll clean it up, and jumps on the floor and scooches around on his stomach. Then he stands up with a huge wet spot on his shirt and starts dancing again. Believe it or not, it gets worse still, because he says to Jennifer, would you care to dance, my lady? After she says, no way, he walks back over to us with everybody watching. Man, you're just embarrassing us, Harvey said. Why do you even try? Nobody's ever going to dance with you. Why can't you just play it cool? You mean just stand here doing nothing like you guys asked Dwight. Okay. And he froze right there and stood there the rest of the night without moving. He was just standing there when I left. As far as I know, that's the only time any of us from the stage has ever asked a girl to dance. It's not that we don't want to. In fact, we spent most of each Fun Night debating whether we should and wishing a girl would just come over and ask us instead. One time my mom almost got Kevin to have Rondella to dance, but his mother came to pick him up right before he was about to. This time, Cullen and Harvey were trying to get me to ask Hannah, who was hanging around between the stage and the snack table. She's just standing there all by herself, said Cullen. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure she likes you, said Harvey. I know better than to trust Harvey, but I was kind of tempted. I mean, Hannah's not the girl I like best. That's Sarah, who I am 100% afraid to ask to dance. But Hannah's always been pretty nice to me. Maybe she would say yes. Then maybe Sarah would see us dancing and get jealous and decide she wants to dance with me too. And then she would ask me and I wouldn't have to ask her. After all these times of just standing there watching, just the idea of finally asking a girl to dance made me start to get all freaky, even if it wasn't Sarah. It was still a girl and it would still be dancing. Thank goodness the PTA Fun Night never has any slow dances where you touch each other. My hands were shaking and my stomach was excited like the night my dad accidentally drove into a fire hydrant. Yes, I thought this was my chance. I'm going to do it. I was actually starting to walk over to Hannah when Dwight stopped me hopped off the stage and stopped me. Better ask Origami Yoda first. Ugh. Can't you crawl back in your hole? Said Harvey. Didn't you embarrass us enough the last time? Maybe. I'm here to stop you from getting embarrassed, said Dwight. There was his paper Yoda finger puppet on his finger. Ask Origami Yoda. Now he had all seen Origami Yoda before, but this was the first time Dwight had asked us to talk to it. It was a historic moment, but I didn't know it then. Would you put that away? Hissed Harvey. You're making us all look like losers. Fine, said Dwight, and he started to walk away. I just thought Tommy needed some help. He needs all the help he can get, said Kellen. What's your advice? I don't have any advice, said Dwight, but Origami Yoda does. Then Dwight wiggled the finger puppet and made this weird squeaky voice. Rush in, fools, do. Is that supposed to sound like Yoda? Said Harvey. That's the worst Yoda impression I've ever heard. Here's what Yoda sounds like, and Harvey started repeating every Yoda line from every Star Wars movie. But Helen and I ignored him, trying to figure out the advice. Yoda always mixes his words up, I said, so I bet he meant fools are in a rush. That makes it sound like I would be a fool to rush over there and ask Hannah to dance. Yeah, I agree, said Mike. He and Quavando and all the kids on the stage were listening. The whole thing was really embarrassing. Are you saying he shouldn't do it? Asked Cassie. I'm not saying anything, said Dwight. Origami Yoda is. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, said Harvey, who had finally stopped his Yoda impressions. Tommy, if you miss dancing with Hannah because of Dwight's green paper wad, then you're a super fool. Go do it. Just hold on a minute, I said. There's no need for me to rush over there. Aw, dude, you're just looking for an excuse to go be a chicken, said Kellen, pushing me. Go ask her. Give me a minute. Just then, the 7th grader, Mark, who is about 2 feet taller than me, comes in, and Hannah practically runs over to grab him, and they kiss each other right there in the lunchroom, which is a public display of affection and total against the rules of furthermore disgusting to watch. Good thing you listened to Origami Yoda, said Dwight. Yes, it was a good thing. It was a great thing. Can you imagine if I had been asked to dance with the big stud guy came along? Man, she would have knocked me down to get at him, and I would have been a laughingstock. Harvey would have been going wild with that big Donkey Kong laugh of his. Even Kellen would be busting a gut. So basically, Origami Yoda saved my butt. That's when I started listening to Origami Yoda, and eventually a lot of other people did too. Oh yes, I believe in paper wad Yoda. Woo! I believe he's real. Actually, genuine piece of paper stuck on the end of Dwight's real, actual genuine finger. I believe Dwight is the real, actual, genuine biggest nut since Mr. Peanut. But I do believe there's something magic about paper wad Yoda. Of course not. That's stupid. Even the real Yoda is not real. He's a puppet in some movies and just a computer thing in others. And even if Yoda is real, he lives in a galaxy far, far away. I think it have been better things to do than tell Tommy not to make a fool of himself. Speaking of which, remember Yoda's advice? Russian fools do. That's not even a Yoda quote. My stepdad told me Fools Russian is from a song Elvis sang in the 1960s. Okay, Dwight is weird. I already said that. But his advice was really, really good. And Yoda's not a paper wad. He's origami, and he really looks like Yoda. But I can't decide if Harvey is right or not. I don't actually believe in magic, but Origami Yoda has done some pretty amazing things. Not long ago, after he helped me, he saved Kevin from making a gigantic fool of himself.